Welcome to the Sports Machine, back Thursday, January 21st, recording in Dallas, Texas. Bing, how was your weekend? MLK.
Fantastic, man. Great weekend. I cannot complain at all. Got to catch some of those fantastic games this past weekend. Got to spend some time with the family, of course. Went to the Martin Luther King Day Parade where 50 Cent rode on the 97.9 The Beat float down here in Dallas, so that was pretty live. Good to see him, supporting the MLK Day and showing what it meant to him. How about yourself?
That was good. Spend time with the family. This weekend big on football.
Right.
That's where we're gonna get started in the NFL, but also ESPN's NBA all-time greats list is in question again. Centers and power forwards, and some Cavaliers talk.
Yes, sir.
Got blown out by the Warriors. Been blown out by the Warriors before. Struggled against the Spurs. So we're going to talk about, are they in trouble in the finals? And is it just going to be a cakewalk through the East? And of course, somebody's got to get really dope.
That's right.
Just nobody could just make it through the week without doing something.
It would actually make it a pretty boring week if we couldn't really know somebody, though. We got to find somebody. It's only right. It's only right.
I hope one day it happens where we don't have nobody to really know.
Then mess around and turn to a day where we have to really know ourselves just on some fluke stuff. You remember when you said, I remember when you said.
Let's get started with the Saturday's games. On Saturday, first game to take place, the AFC.
Yes, sir.
Kansas City Chiefs and the Patriots in a close game.
Yes, sir.
New England came out on top, 27-20. What were your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts were Julian Edelman came back, and you saw what this team could be. You saw the potential this team was going to have when some of their key weapons came back. Steven Jackson had a pretty good day running the football, but once again, with this team right here, they're one of the very few teams that can actually win a game without necessarily having a run game.
Yeah, they ran the ball 14 times as a team, and six of those were Tom Brady.
Right. I was really surprised at how ineffective the Chiefs defense were. Like the pass rush, it's like you knew that they was passing, but Brady gets the ball out of his hands so fast to where it just completely null and void the whole Kansas City pass rush. Like, it didn't even matter that they was even there.
I think that's where Julian Edelman comes in the most.
Right.
Because of those quick passes right off the line.
Because a lot of his yards are after the catch.
So I think that's the big comeback, kind of makes up for their offensive line being a little suspect this year.
Right.
Not a little suspect, they a lot suspect.
Exactly.
In the lineup to get pointed out.
They have interchanged starting linemen more than any team in the league this year.
Rob Gronkowski had a good game. 2 touchdowns, 83 yards.
Right. Done what you done just about as much as you would expect for Gronkowski to do,
Can't really do much more.
Exactly.
I mean, I've seen him do more, but you wouldn't expect him to have one of those games against a Kansas City Chiefs defense that's highly touted.
Right.
And Alex Smith had a decent game. He did what Alex Smith does.
Exactly.
He's not going to beat Tom Brady. Everybody knows that.
Right.
But with a good defense and a good run game around him,
right,
he'll keep you in the game, and he did just that.
Crazy thing about this matchup is when it came to first downs, I mean, Kansas City beat him in first downs. It was like Kansas City had 27 first downs. You had New England with 21 first downs. Out of those 27, 14 of those was passing first downs. 10 of those was rushing first downs as well. So it's not like Kansas City was completely out of the game. Even in total yardage, you look at Kansas City had 378, and then New England had 340. So the biggest problem with this game was that Kansas City fell behind about 14 points.
They couldn't catch back up.
Exactly. And they've been getting killed this whole week about their play management, or clock management.
Well, I mean, they control the time of possession
Right.
as well.
Right. And my whole deal with that was, to make it quick, I could understand where they came from when they was thinking, hey, let's try to hold the ball as long as we can, even though, yes, they were down by a touchdown. But even if the only thing I didn't agree with was the fact that they did try the onside kick. I think if you had went on ahead and decided to run as much time as you did off, and you was going to force them to run the football so you could use your timeouts, then you might as well have done kick the ball all the way off and then played the field position role, where they would have just run the football, in my opinion. But I also understood where they was coming from. They was running a lot of time. A lot of people's like, you have to hurry up and score. You're down 2 touchdowns. Not like you're down 1 or 2 points. You know, you guys need to hurry up and score, get them the ball back. But then the type of offense and the type of player Tom Brady is, do you really want to give him the ball back with so much time to where their whole playbook is open? And let's be for real, they got their last first down off of, I hate to call it a fluke play, but it pretty much was a fluke play. It was a tip. It was a tip pass that bounced off of, I think, Gronkowski's helmet. Like, it barely bounced off his helmet, bounced into Edelman's arms, and he fell for the first down. Game over.
I think the biggest thing that happened in this game happened in the third quarter. I believe New England was up 14-6.
Right.
And now Davis fumbled the ball when the Kansas City Chiefs were in New England territory.
Right, and driving.
And Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does. Takes advantage of your mistake.
Exactly.
Puts them up 21-6, and where you now start rushing to score instead of just, we're only down 8.
Exactly.
Now you're down 2 touchdowns.
And see, that's
you
the
get
thing
into that
about
scenario you were talking about.
Exactly. And see, the thing about it was they was never really out of the game. Like, that's what I took from this game. They was never really out of it. But once again, you can't give a defending Super Bowl champion team, a future Hall of Famer quarterback, that kind of a cushion.
I don't want to say the difference was one had Tom Brady, one had Alex Smith, but that's kind of what it looked like.
Right.
Both defenses were about equal, in my opinion. Neither run game was just exploding.
Because Tom Brady's won games without Julian Edelman.
Exactly.
And, well, you saw what the Kansas City Chiefs receiving core looked like when Jeremy Maclin had to go back out the game with that high ankle sprain. He was limited on his weapons.
We will get into the other AFC matchup here in a minute, but to continue on Saturday, great game. Green Bay, Arizona, ended kind of weird.
I mean, man, that game gave you everything you could ask for, and just, if you don't have a team in the race, like neither one of our teams are off in the playoffs. They never made the playoffs. So for us as football purists, as guys who are just fan of sports, guys who are fan of football, like all we hope to see is just a good game, something entertaining, something to just give us just like I said, just entertainment. And that game right there gave you everything you could have asked for.
Definitely entertainment.
For a minute there, I thought Carson Palmer was channeling his former inner Cincinnati Bengal and was ready to go full-blown gift basket of the week. I was like, well, I know who's going to get the gift basket of the week, because he easily could have had 4 interceptions in that game.
Here comes Santa Claus!
Yes.
I mean, he didn't get it, but he can't get it because he won.
Exactly.
But he probably would have got us.
And I was intending to hit you up and ask you. I was like, B, is it possible for you to give someone the gift basket of the week even though the team wins? That was a heck of a question.
It's a really difficult question. Because right now, it's not like anyone had a big turnover day that weekend. So
Exactly. But he redeemed himself with, of course, the epic spin out of the pocket. Like,
Romo status.
Exactly. I mean, like, a complete pirouette into his lineman, still got outside, and then made the play to Larry Fitzgerald, who then ran like a man who was running from every type of agent you can name: NSA, FBI, CIA, any type. What they call them dudes over there in British intelligence. He was running from any kind of agency like he stole something. And let's not forget about what even got them to that point. The two Hail Marys from Aaron Rodgers to receivers who, once again, I mean, James Jones was locked down. He was locked down, completely knocked out the game by Patrick Peterson. So Randall Cobb went out first quarter with a chest injury of some sort. Not to mention Jeff Janis and these guys. I mean, we don't even know who these guys' names were, but they made plays to get that game into overtime. I mean, once again, I don't even call them Hail Marys anymore when Aaron Rodgers is throwing the football.
Oh, wow.
Because I think they're just like they've actually perfected how you should do a Hail Mary, in my opinion.
I wouldn't say perfected. They don't get them 100% of the time.
Well, no, not 100% of the time, but they got
More
two
than
of them
usual.
in the game. Exactly.
More
There
than
it is.
usual.
Exactly.
More than the ordinary. BYU did it twice in a row, though.
That is a good point. But then college football is not the NFL. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, college football is not the NFL. I would agree with
He's
that.
like, well, yeah, right. So it's like,
But when it comes to Hail Marys and percentages, I bet the percentages are pretty similar from college to NFL. I don't know where you would look that stat up at,
right.
but I'm pretty sure. Not 100% positive.
But that was a heck of a game once again.
Larry Fitzgerald, who was not on your top 10 list, by the way.
Unfortunately, he wasn't, but
Mike Evans.
he wasn't even on my fantasy team. And I sat there thinking to myself, goodness gracious, man, how could I not have had this guy on my team? Even like I had Randall Cobb on my team, but I didn't have like Janis, who had 7 catches,
no,
145 yards and 2 touchdowns. Larry Fitzgerald had 8 catches, 176 yards and a touchdown. I'm like, just couldn't predict that. Not one bit. I did have Johnson on my team, who only had 15 carries for 35 yards. They locked their game down.
Weirdly, Eddie Lacy had a good game.
Right. And it all kind of came off of like a couple of 20, 30-yard runs back to back. And
Make your average go up.
exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And I'm not bashing him for it, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take your opportunity and run with it. And he did. But once again, man, I have no quarrels in this game. A lot of people try to give head coach like why would you blitz Aaron Rodgers? It's like, well, not blitzing him is what got them in a position to be able to throw the 40-something yard Hail Mary to begin with. You know, when they dropped everybody back and Aaron Rodgers had spun out out of their own end zone to even get them to where they were to begin with anyway. So it's like they tried something different. They tried to brush them, and once again, Aaron Rodgers made another play outside the pocket, and it just so happened to land in one guy's hand. You just can't draw it up any better. Can't draw it up. You can't even draw it up. You can't even think of it to happen it that way.
Shout out to Carson Palmer for overtime,
For not choking.
For not choking. Yeah, there you go.
And not caving under pressure, because he threw 2 red zone interceptions that was just crucial. That was just drive killers. That just completely stalled that drive. Like, that's what I took away from that. I was
Say
like,
the
wow.
2 games they lost, or 2 of the 3 games they lost this season were those type of games where Carson Palmer threw some interceptions.
Exactly.
Another game where they got blown out by Seattle.
Exactly.
Moving on from Saturday to Sunday, the team the Cardinals will play is the Panthers, who beat the Seahawks 31-24.
Right.
Another very interesting game. Tale of 2 halves, but Seattle couldn't quite make it all the way back.
Right. Exactly. And you couldn't said it any better, because of the fact that, that game for a minute there reminded me of the game that was here in Dallas for Thanksgiving. It was like when they got going fast, it wasn't nothing else that they could do to stop Seattle. I mean, it was nothing else they could do to stop Carolina, because once the ball got rolling, the stadium got to jumping, they got to passing out footballs to kids and making them super excited. Like, their arena was jumping, and it wasn't a whole lot they could do, especially after the pick 6 by Kuechly.
No,
It was like, it was just like that. Within 5 minutes of beginning of the game, it was already 14-0. And from there, it just continued to snowball. But the Seattle Seahawks did what you expect from a former Super Bowl champion, a team that's been to the Super Bowl twice, 2 years back to back, and was looking to go make it a third. You know, they came back, they regrouped and played good football. And in my opinion, I think it's a good thing that that Carolina didn't continue to blow them out, because I'm not sure if it would have been a whole lot for them to work on this week heading into the division championship game. Now, you know, if you're Ron Rivera, you actually have some stuff to work with the team on. It's like, yo, we went up, and
you know, that's been their thing this whole season, though.
Right.
Carolina, I mean, besides against Dallas where they didn't let it happen, but they've gotten some leads this season and blown those leads and had close games at the end, and games in which they had no business of even being in.
Even in their first game in Seattle, where they had won their game earlier in the season, they took a lead. Seattle came back, and then Cam Newton made a play, and they kicked the field goal to win that game. Like, except for, and then let's not forget about the New York Giants game, where they went into New York, the whole Odell Beckham James. Like, once again, that will overshadow the game, but the fact that the amount of the Giants came back, the way they came back, and the amount of time that they did, we can't forget about that. But terrific performance by Cam Newton. Jonathan Stewart showed what this team have been doing all year, which is keep pounding. They run the football with Cam. They run the football with Jonathan Stewart. Olsen made a couple of great catches. Receiving core, I mean, you know, they got help from all around on their team. And that defense, once again, what else can you say about that defense besides a stifling first half performance?
Yeah, first half was...
It was just...
They put Seattle behind so much where they only ran the ball 12 times.
And completely made Marshawn Lynch a non-factor in that game.
They weren't willing to... I guess time management wise, they couldn't afford to run the ball.
Right.
Although, maybe they should have ran the ball a little bit more.
Even then, it's like Russell Wilson done the best he could with 30. He went 31 for 48, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He even led the team in rushing, as a matter of fact, 3 carries for 32 yards. Russell Wilson, in this game, was the leading rusher for 32 yards. That says enough. In a game where, yes, Marshawn Lynch played in the game, but he wasn't the leading rusher.
2 interceptions early in the game.
1 pick six. Exactly.
Does he get a pass for those 2 interceptions?
No, I mean...
I was wrong.
Yeah, right. I mean, I won't give him any pass on it due to the fact that it's... If you're going to get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball. But if you're going to eat it, then eat it. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you know, I can't help but wonder, like I said before, that first interception that went for 6 to Luke Kuechly is what started the whole momentum going, not only on defense, but offense for that whole first half. Because what was that? Carolina scored 14 in the first quarter and 17 in the second quarter. The defense regrouped in the second half, and they shut Carolina down because they played really conservative football. They played like they wasn't trying to lose a game instead of trying to completely dominate the team.
Last not least, on the weekend games, we had Pittsburgh and Denver. And I think, did Patrick Jones ever say he's gonna? Did he ever apologize?
Yes, he did. He owned up to it. He did. He owned up to it that I believe that Saturday when they I think it was that Monday, I believe. Sunday or Monday, he owned up to it. He did.
I know he said he would.
It took a lot of crap for actually owning up and really apologizing. I was like, wow, dude actually apologized, was man enough to his word to apologize for saying that he was faking it and still caught slack for it. But you know how they go.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Antonio Brown didn't play
right
against the Denver Broncos due to his concussion from the previous week against Cincinnati.
Right.
Him and Pac-Man had a little beef going on.
Right.
Into the important matter of the game, Ben Roethlisberger did everything but score touchdowns. That's why they lost.
Exactly. Didn't get a lot of help from anybody, but
Did not.
once again, he's only done anything but make you respect him even more for going out there and playing the way he played on what you know was a pretty jacked up shoulder.
Because to be honest, he played just about the same, if not a little better than Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton didn't play much that good either.
Exactly.
But he had a run game somewhat.
You're right.
And the defenses is what made the difference.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget about the one fumble by the Pittsburgh running back. I think he was like
Fitzgerald Toussaint.
Yeah, exactly. While they was driving in Denver territory is what actually led to Denver scoring to ultimately just take the lead to ice the game pretty much. That's what I took from it. It was one turnover at a key time, and that's all it was just that one turnover, and it pretty much iced the game for them.
So that's all it took.
Exactly. Otherwise, Pittsburgh and total yards had 396. Denver had 324. First downs was pretty close. It was Denver with 19, Pittsburgh with 16. Like I said before, as far as like the playoff games that really just grab your attention was the Green Bay Arizona game, but then Seattle and Carolina game also started it out pretty well too, because of the fact that Seattle turned around at the end of the game, made it a pretty close game at the end. And then as far as the Denver and Pittsburgh game goes, it was never really out of reach until later on in the game where the turnover happened. Then you pretty much could tell that they pretty much iced it because of the fact that you kind of wondered about the weapons that Ben Roethlisberger had minus Antonio Brown.
I'm happy with the matchups we got going for it. We will pick those tomorrow,
Most definitely.
in which Arizona, Carolina, the two best teams in the NFC all year, are going to play each other.
Right.
Most consistent teams all year.
Right.
And then you have Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, AFC. Peyton Manning's most likely last season.
Exactly.
Tom Brady's coming towards kind of the end.
Right.
He says he can play till he's 50, though.
What have you if you seen
I haven't seen Tom Brady.
Someone posted a video of just, I heard them also talk about on a ESPN sports show about what it is Tom Brady eats. Like, he basically pretty much eats a lot of just organic vegetables. Like, he really doesn't eat he doesn't eat any sugar or anything like that. Like, any sugars. That was one of the things I had noticed, because I'm big on sweets.
So I feel bad for him.
Right, but with the diet that he has, I could see why he feels like he could play, because he has a personal chef at home that fix a lot of things, that basically just prepares his meals personally at his house for him and his family.
That's what's up.
Yeah, exactly. I can't knock that. Like, most people like, oh, look at he. I'm like, yo, I can't knock him, especially if he's been to the chef's restaurant. He's like, yo, I want this guy to cook for me, and this guy says, fine, I'll do that. And you got the money to do that. He cooks you just everything you need, everything you want in your meals. He knows how you want it. He even cooks with the chef only cooks with like an organic coconut oil and like olive oil.
I never hate on people spending money.
Nah, me neither. If you got it to do it, then do it. But
Never hate on people spending money. If you rich, don't be stingy with the money. Put it back in the system. Give me
Right
an
on.
opportunity to go get it.
Right on.
Please.
Got everybody out there trying to be a culinary art chef or something like that, so they can go and be just a straight cook for a multi-millionaire athlete.
What if it's easier to cook for a restaurant or for a single person?
I think it'd be a whole lot easier to cook for a single person due to the fact that
Eventually, you're going to catch a rhythm.
exactly
Of some sort.
for exactly whatever it is they like to eat. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I like, even if they request, it's like, all right, I already know how they like to prep, what seasonings they like and what they don't like, where it is. At a restaurant, some things may have to be modified or something like that.
Moving on. What's next for the losers of these playoff games? Start on the AFC side. I'll start with the Chiefs. Andy Reid, another amazing job this year.
Right. What was it, 11, 12 straight wins after starting like 1-5?
Yeah, it was 12, I think, including the playoff game.
Right. You know, I wonder. This goes back when Herman Edwards was coaching down there. Like they've never had a just a solid receiving core.
No,
Like I try to go back and think
a
about
heavy
it.
run game has been there. Priest Holmes was that dude.
Oh yeah, most definitely trifecta.
Dante Hall out of the return game.
Exactly. And like I can't really think of and Tony Gonzalez,
Tony Gonzalez,
who's just a
special.
Hall of Fame. Exactly. Like
He's special. Exception to the rule, Tony.
And I mean, they did draft Dwayne Bowe, who I mean, well, we all know what happened to Dwayne Bowe down there.
He was
Supposed to be like their number one guy, and for whatever
alright.
reason, yeah.
He was alright. He a decent receiver.
But I guess he underachieved. I guess he didn't live up to what a lot of people expected him to be at that time, and where he was drafted compared to what he had done in college. Whether it was systems or whatever the case was, he just never lived up to Kansas City Chiefs fans' expectations there, and rightfully so. But I think for them, it's going to be real key on them getting a big play type of receiver. Like they're going to need somebody to help them, whether they get them in a draft or whether they get them in an off season.
You remember Mel Kiper's mock draft had Josh Doxson going like 23rd to
Right.
Minnesota. Let Josh Doxson fall to the Chiefs. God.
Ah, yes, exactly. And I think we both agree that we said that back when we reviewed that mock draft. Like to you, to me, Josh Doxson is the best.
Receiver.
Right.
I mean, no offense to the dude out of Ole Miss.
Right. Laquan Treadwell.
Treadwell, he's a very good receiver too. I mean,
Right.
if he falls to 23, it'll be a shame for him too because he's really good.
Exactly. I even saw in the NFL. You remember they also said Ezekiel Elliott was
Yeah,
going to
drop.
go like late 20s. I'm like, I don't think he makes it back there.
I
But
think it's just because of running backs now. Even though I think there's going to be a resurgence of running backs.
right.
We see it in the college game eventually if it goes to the NFL.
Exactly.
I think the same thing. Chiefs need to go after a big-time receiver.
Exactly. Otherwise, they're pretty solid on defense.
They're
Marcus
solid on
Peters
defense.
looks like he's going to be a shutdown corner for quite some time. Once again, I don't think the quarterback issue is a problem there because you have a quarterback who plays consistently, who's a dynamic
If
threat.
they draft a quarterback, it's going to be late. It's going to be a guy
that they just trying to bring
Try
up
to-
in the system.
yeah.
Exactly. But we both agree that
Jamal Charles coming back.
they don't need a running back there because they already have a good. One thing they both of their backup running backs did prove that they both can shoulder the load as a.
It's a duo.
Exactly. So
Next AFC team, Pittsburgh Steelers. Just get healthy. Is
Not
that
only
their,
get
is that their
healthy-
goal?
yeah,
Maybe
get
some
healthy.
offensive line.
I
Ben
was-
Roethlisberger get hurt a lot, but then again he holds the ball a lot.
Exactly. And one of the things that I was looking at was the fact that they were getting beat a lot in the secondary this year.
They do have secondary
So,
issues.
and let's not forget, like, ever since Troy Polamalu retired from the team, he may not have always been, I guess you could say,
Cover corner or cover safety, but
exactly, but
he ranged the field very well.
Exactly. He was everywhere. You talk about a ball hawk. He was. You wouldn't expect him to be in certain spots in the pass game, and there he was. You wouldn't expect him to be in certain spots in the run game, yet there he was. And I think they've been struggling to find that safety to help them replace what Troy Polamalu had brought to that team, that defense.
I agree. I think secondary is probably going to be the first thing to look at,
Right.
but depends on position,
Right.
what's available.
And once again, they still play in a division where it's right now it's just a 2-team division, not knowing what's going to happen with Baltimore.
Watch out for Baltimore.
You saying
They always seem to pop up right when you think that they're going to be done for a while.
right?
They always seem just to pop back up. Steve Smith come back.
Right. He did. I think he said he was
said he's
going to come back.
Yeah.
Right. So you just never know with that as well. But as of right now, I still look at Cincinnati and
I mean, yeah.
and
I
Pittsburgh
agree
being
with
those
you.
top teams.
I agree with you from like it should be that way, but
it ain't going to always work that
we've
way.
counted out Baltimore multiple times.
Yeah.
Next up, NFC side, a little bit quick. Green Bay Packers.
The Green Bay Packers.
I mean, wide receivers that aren't hurt.
Yeah.
Running back that doesn't suck. Often.
You know, you could go so many ways with this team because the thing is they have a Hall of Fame quarterback that actually mask a lot of the problems that they have on offense as well as in a way defense because he can I won't say he can score at will, but
That's why I think
if he's able to take over a game,
just go all offense. To me, that's what they should do in the offseason. Go all offense. Get him some weapons.
get him some more receiver
Give him
weapons.
some more weapons, and then worry about the defense after you have those weapons. I would hate for them to actually get a defense, and then
Yeah.
you wonder what the problem is, and you're looking around wide receivers, and he's in a Tom Brady situation,
Right.
taking pay cuts and not getting nobody.
Honestly, I don't think this team could go wrong on offense or defense, to be honest. Either or. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can look at another linebacker to probably play the inside linebacker spot, or you can look at somebody to try to help out more in the secondary, or a pass rusher to kind of help out more. Or, it's like you said before, you can go and look to try to grab another either tight end type of weapon, or you can go look and grab another receiver. You know what I'm saying? So you can put Randall Cobb where I think he should be, which is in the slot. I think he's a much better slot guy and a guy who you can use like in a jet sweeps and things like that a whole lot more.
I agree. Last up, Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle, oh man.
Running back?
Well,
You don't see Marshawn Lynch staying, do you?
no, honestly, I really don't. I think he kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with even in that they were very fortunate to come out and even be playing in the game on Sunday.
Yes.
We all agree on that. And had they lost that game, I think a lot of that they would have been put on Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, it would have been.
Last minute, I can't play in this game on Friday after he took majority of the first practice reps. For whatever reason, I think they're going to be solid with Russell Wilson.
I think so, too. I know they're going to stick with him.
Right. Like you said before. Another thing is they could go and look at receiver, but I don't think the receivers are the problem there.
Baldwin's proven that he's a number one,
Uh-huh.
and Jimmy Graham just didn't work out this season. I don't know, maybe they implement a system to help get him in, or
And see, that's going to be the big deal with me. I think with me it's more of not necessarily what they don't have, but more what can they do with what they're going to have. Like, okay, if you want to draft another running back, okay, that's fine. But when you gave up your center, your Pro Bowl center for a Pro Bowl tight end who doesn't block well. I mean, he blocks, but he's not exactly the best blocking tight end, right?
Ezekiel Elliott followed the Seahawks.
Who's one of the best blocking
Do
runners?
they take him?
Yo, if they get Ezekiel Elliott, I don't think people realize this guy's a threat in the passing game, blocking game, run game. I think if Ezekiel Elliott falls to this team, you just put him right there back again in a divisional NFC round because they're not missing a beat from beast mode.
I mean, this year was pretty much the Seahawks without beast mode.
Right. And I think this was great for them to see what Russell Wilson can do with this team being its own. As far as this goes, this team still had the sky's the limit with this team due to the fact that all the players they have locked up haven't even reached like 28. It's still a young team.
The only problem is they ran into the Carolina Panthers, which if they lose, it'll be interesting if we go into them. Because we look at their team, the Carolina Panthers team, they still got people coming back off an injury
Exactly.
that Cam Newton could use.
Man, who you telling? Kelvin Benjamin. Ugh.
Coming up, moving into the NBA, and ESPN's list of their all-time great centers and power forwards on a sports machine.
I am Dwayne Dean with your Sports Machine News Update. The Buffalo Bills made history Wednesday by hiring the NFL's first female full-time coach, naming Catherine Smith as a special teams quality control coach. Smith served as the administrative assistant to the head coach Rex Ryan this season after working for 12 years for the New York Jets, including the final 6 with Ryan as Jets head coach. The Rams say they have collected over 45,000 season ticket deposits in just 2 days for their upcoming return next season to Los Angeles. The Rams announced the results of their initial season ticket push Wednesday night. The nation's second largest market, Los Angeles, has been without an NFL team since 1994. I'm Dwayne Dean with your Sports Machine News Update.
Sports Machine with Brian and Dean. Went over the NFL weekend. Time to get into a little bit NBA. ESPN has listed their top 10 at each position. We've already done point guards, shooting guards, small forwards.
Right.
So it's time for power forwards and centers.
Yes.
I'll start with the power forwards, and they got number 1 right, which is highly appreciated.
Timmy D.
Tim Duncan.
Right on. He's done his part though. Like you talk about Mr. Consistency.
I wish somebody would talk trash about that pick.
Like that guy has
hit
been
me up.
consistent.
Hit me up on social media, people that know me. Hit me up if you have a problem with Tim Duncan at number 1.
Which will be great. Anybody who has a problem with Tim Duncan, once again, I mean,
besides him getting dunked on, he does nothing negative, which is just him taking charges, and no one's gonna call a charge when you get dunked on.
Once again, in an area where a lot of you guys, they rather run from behind and block your shot instead of actually stand there face to face to try to block a guy. I don't bash that at all. Like, once again,
Hassan Whiteside got dunked on.
Right.
It was like, hey, at least he was trying to play defense.
Thank you. And where a lot of guys, they'll turn their face away or they'll jump and then put their arms. It's like, bro, you already jumped. You might as well attempt it.
Put their arms down.
Exactly. It's like, well, what was the point of you even jumping in the first place? Like, if you just gonna let him dunk, just let him go. But once again, as a Mavs fan, I don't have a problem with Tim Duncan being right there due to the fact that, once again, he's done nothing but help bring championships back to the state of Texas, regardless of who he's played against, whether he's knocked the Mavericks out or anything else. But as a hardcore Texas sports fan, like, I'm happy to see that guy be on the top of the list, and he deserves it.
2, they have Karl Malone.
I have no problem with the mailman.
Another good pick.
Exactly.
Number 3, I think ESPN did it with this one. Dirk Nowitzki at 3.
Yeah, that's my dude. Like, he deserves it, in my opinion. Once again,
I
know he's the most
current
all time. Exactly, and not to mention what he's done for the game. Like, what he's done for the game and how he showed people that outside America, there are guys who can come in and ball and play at a high level.
And we're seeing it.
Right.
I mean, it's here, people.
Exactly. And it started with Dirk.
That's what I'm saying. It started with Dirk, then you saw the Gasols.
Right.
There's a dude named Porzingis out there.
And the Greek Freak.
Yep.
Is another one of those guys who, I think if he gets a pretty good coach under him.
Luol Deng is technically from over there.
Serge Ibaka. Once again, like, a lot of these guys wouldn't have got looked at had it not been for, like the Akeem Olajuwons or the, Dirk Nowitzki, guys who's come from overseas and
been successful.
Exactly. There it is.
Number 4, Charles Barkley.
Oh,
one of those people considered one of the best without a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Most people probably think he deserves to be higher, but I would have Dirk Nowitzki up there.
Right.
Just ahead of him.
Dirk just cracked, top 10, top 5, I think, in scoring, if I'm not mistaken.
Number 5, Kevin Garnett.
I got love.
I can't argue with that. With number 6, Kevin McHale, I might have those switched.
Yeah.
I like Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett's that dude. I mean, I'm glad he's one of those guys who did get a ring. Like, I truly am. Like, I'm glad he's one of those guys who got a ring because of the fact that the intensity that he brings. I mean, where he hangs his hat at on defense. All those jumps where it's like, even a shot that don't matter is like, nope, you're not finna get into a rhythm. Not in this go. Not in this go. I respect that that's the way he's done it his whole career.
Number 7, we have Bob Pettit. Dude played in the 50s and 60s.
I don't know a whole lot.
I say
about him.
exactly. I haven't seen that tape.
Right.
All I know is his stats is 26 points per game and 16 rebounds per game. So
Right.
seems like it'd be worth it
Exactly.
for all these people to act like they watched him.
Right.
Elvin Hayes at 8,
For
60s to 80s. He had a long career.
60s to 80s. Whoo. Yeah.
Late 60s.
Yeah. He was out there.
Then number 9, Pau Gasol.
No problem with that.
And number 10, Dennis Rodman.
I think I'd put Dennis Rodman ahead of Pau Gasol. For what he did with Detroit and what he did with Chicago.
He did a lot of stuff.
Right.
I think they put him number 10 just based on the fact that he's weird.
Right.
They didn't want to give him.
Dude was like one point in time like all defense, defensive player of the year in it, and I said for Dennis Rodman got rings. He's got some rings. I think he has like 4.
5.
He has 5?
He has 5.
Oh man. Exactly. How many guys out there got 5? Not a lot.
Tim Duncan.
Not a lot. And Kobe. Tim Duncan, Kobe, and who else is playing that probably has the same amount or don't? I don't think anybody else.
I don't think anybody's playing right now.
Right.
Number 1 in the centers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All-time leader in his points, so
Right.
to bash that would be ludicrous. To me.
I don't bash it, but I ain't gonna lie. I was kind of thinking Wilt.
Wilt is number 2.
Uh-huh.
Wilt to me is a myth.
Yeah. He said he's a myth.
He is. Because we can't sit here and watch Wilt Chamberlain play
Right.
and compare who he played against to how he would match up now.
Right.
Then you have Bill Russell at 3. Because this has always been my question about this. How does Wilt Chamberlain have 2 championships if he was so dominant?
That is a good question.
And Bill Russell got 11.
Exactly. Like, dominate. Like, and that's another guy, like, once again, I when I looked at the top 3, I was like, if we was just going to go based off championships, it's like, well, Bill is number 1. Like, 11. I mean, dude has enough rings to put on his fingers and toes and one to put around his neck. Can't beat that.
And then my question is, those 2 people ever face somebody like Shaq, who is number 4?
Right.
If Shaq played in that era, do you think he would have put up the numbers they put up?
Oh, he did, man.
Exactly.
He'd have been a
And
monster.
that's the hardest part for me is when you start seeing the era change. It's like,
When you look at how, like, I think a lot of people, I guess non-basketball purists or anything like that, what people fail to realize is for Shaq to been the size he was, like 7'2", like almost 300 some pounds. Like he was incredibly, he had great footwork to be a big guy that size.
number 5, Hakeem Olajuwon.
I ain't got no problem with Hakeem the Dream. I mean,
Really?
he's out there teaching big man how to do the dream shake and how to make some moves. You know,
Trying to, if they're willing to learn.
Dwight Howard.
Oh, I wasn't going to say his name.
Hey,
Number 6 is Moses Malone.
no problem with that.
Dwight Howard's not on the list, by the way.
What?
He's not on the
Oh
list.
boy, my mistake. I heard you wrong. I apologize. I heard you wrong. I was like, what?
Number 7 is David Robinson. Get him.
Yeah. I like David Robinson. I don't have no problem with.
He's over Patrick Ewing, and maybe that's just because of championship standpoint, but I
Right.
think Patrick Ewing's probably better than
But David has 2, right? He got 2 of them.
He has 2.
Right. And it's funny because like they was one of the first of the whole Twin Tower deals, him and Duncan. So it's good to see that 2 San Antonio Spurs, like the original Twin Towers, is off in like, you know, those standings respectively, I guess. Top 10 off in those standings, one being 1 and the other one being in the top 10.
We got another one of those up. Number 9, George Mikan.
That's all I can say.
40s and 50s. Also played the NBL and the BAA. So these writers over here, the first great center, Mikan brought glory to the Lakers franchise long before Wilt, Kareem, and Shaq even put on purple and gold. Was you alive?
Right.
Are you over here saying this? And I want to know how the single most difficult player to rank in NBA history. I would agree because
Right.
who is alive right now that
Can tell you vividly, like, yo,
Vividly.
this is what this guy did. Like,
because the people alive now that could have seen him play were kids,
exactly.
and their memory probably isn't the greatest either. And number 10 is Bill Walton.
I have no problem with Big Chief. Unless you could tell me who.
I don't have anybody to put up there. So
Right. Not to
He's-
mention, he put butts in the seats in Portland. A
he's-
lot of people came to Portland to watch him play.
Yeah. ESPN struggled on parts of these listings, and they have more lists to come. So they'll probably be on a really though coming up because they're listed the top 100 players of all time.
Right.
And that's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah. It's always fun when you're able to.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. That's gonna end up with me having to make a list. Watch. That's what it's gonna end up. I'm just they already did 91 through 100. I'm looking at them.
Uh-oh.
Marcus Gasol made it. All right. James Harden's on it. Oh.
No way. Of all time, he's still playing.
He's 97.
He's still playing, no defense.
Kevin Love's on it.
Oh. Save it for the next one, man. Save it for.
And both of those people are above Sean Kemp.
Wow. Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting as more of this gets released because they only have 91 through 100 released. I guess Sean Kemp wasn't that good. He was a really good dunker, but
Right.
at the same time,
He was an entertainer. It's all about sometimes.
well, James
People-
Harden's an entertainer.
Exactly. No defense, no nothing. No defense, all offense.
Moving on from all-time greats to current greats, LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
Right.
We've discussed this before the show. Are they in trouble? And when I say people don't overreact to saying in trouble, we understand that they got the East on lock, pretty much.
Right. Especially with Joakim Noah going down in Chicago.
I guess we could touch on that real quick. Is there anyone in the East you see knocking them off?
Once upon a time, I would have thought the Wizards would have had a chance, but that team
They're
right there.
gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, but
they-
still, that team
They're only 2 games out, or 1 game out of the playoffs.
and still, those like, have they played
I'm not
consistent
giving up
enough?
hope. I don't know who's gonna drop out, and I hope it's not the Celtics because I've been strong on them too, or Miami. Maybe
The Celtics will be one of those teams that will, whoever they're playing, there's going to be a dogfight. They're going to take you
They're just a
7.
defensive team.
Exactly.
Any defensive team you don't want to see in the playoffs.
No.
It's the same way with the Grizzlies were when Lionel Hollins was there.
Exactly.
You didn't want to see them in the playoffs
No.
because they were defensive teams.
Especially in the first round, if you was a team expected to go to
Say-
at least the conference finals, you didn't want to go through. You didn't want to see
You
no
went from
parts of them
thinking
first.
it was going to sweep to 7-6 game series.
Right. And going into the next game already with a lot of miles on your legs.
I think Indiana. Something about Paul George. I just feel like maybe he can match up with LeBron James. Not
They do have Monte Ellis over there who can create his own shot. So, I mean, I can
to me, it's,
understand
to me,
why.
it's interesting.
Right.
I think Indiana can make it interesting. And Paul George, because he's a two-way player, and so is LeBron. I think it would be a great matchup to watch.
The Raptors are still another team to kind of to watch a bit. Same thing
Yeah.
with Atlanta.
I mean, right now the Raptors are playing great, but at the end of the season,
That's where they seem to have their
issues.
failures. Yeah,
I like DeMar DeRozan, so I'll hold on for that. So back to the real question: are they in trouble? And the reason we bring this up is because the Cavaliers have struggled this season playing teams that are ahead of the West.
right.
They got blown out by the Warriors the other night, 132-98.
At home, just completely dominated. Just
It was not close.
exactly. It was never close.
And
As close as they got was to the tip of the game.
they lost to the Warriors also on Christmas. Mm-hmm. In a game in which Golden State struggled,
Right.
and they still lost.
Right.
But they kind of had that excuse then of Kyrie
Mm-hmm.
not quite being back to full. And they lost to San Antonio early in the season as well.
And they just lost to them Sunday as well. I believe they lost
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
And see, that was my problem. Why I felt like it was, to me, the answer to that question is yes and no, due to the fact that we got to still remember this is still the regular season. And yes, you do want to, you gauge yourself about how you play the top teams off in each conference, I guess you could say. And how you, like, you want, like, of course, Golden State is everybody's measuring stick. But then when you also look at San Antonio, who's just a couple of games back, and then when you look at Oklahoma City, who, once again, we've said more than a couple of times, had they not lost Kevin Durant for about a week and a half earlier in the season, they could be one of those teams who, once again, could still be in a single-digit loss column, and could be one of those teams that most people could be picked like a dark horse, almost like to come out in the Western Conference. But you want to measure yourself up against those three teams mainly because you could see those teams coming out in the West, and when you come out and you perform the way they performed, or should I say lack thereof performed, on Monday against the defending champions, who, like you said, for everybody made the excuse that they was beat up and shorthanded without a couple of guys. And then, you know, on a road trip, you go into San Antonio on the road, which is, it's hard to play San Antonio, who is, I believe, they're still undefeated at home, if I'm not mistaken, right? So they had that going for them, but it's still, you know, you lost easily to both of those teams, who you could.
The Spurs game was close.
Yeah, they made it interesting.
Yeah, they made
late.
it interesting. Late, yeah.
Like, they made it interesting.
They
late.
made it look close.
There it is. Otherwise, LeBron was looking over his shoulder all the time at Kawhi. He was like,
yes.
every time he came in the game, he was like, ah, crap. This guy.
That's what Kawhi Leonard does.
Right. Makes everybody go, ah, crap. And that's the rated G version of what I really want to say. Once again, they are and then they're not, because I don't think you can put too much on a regular season game. I feel like, I don't know how a team like Golden State gets a chip on his shoulder, and how anybody decide to give them a chip on their shoulder for saying that they didn't deserve it.
That is the key element in this that makes it the weird factor, weird variable to throw in. It's the fact that the Warriors probably hate the Cavaliers more than the Cavaliers hate the Warriors, even though the Warriors beat the Cavaliers.
Right.
Because the Cavaliers were hurt, so they had an excuse why they lost.
Right.
So the Warriors said, "Oh, you're full health now?
Well, let's see at your home, like we own it."
Go Kobe Bryant here, like I'm gonna destroy everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
The reason I think there's little to worry about, and this is how it used to be when I say the Heat, and it was kind of hard to tell. The reason they were favored so heavily in the finals to me was because in the Western Conference, out of those three teams, you're only going to have to face one of them, and they're going to have to knock each other off.
Exactly.
So the team that makes the finals is going to go through a gauntlet, especially if you're the 2 or 3 seed, because you're going to have to play 2 of those teams.
Exactly. Right there coming up. So it's like you said, for you going through a gauntlet, so you already, if you make it through that gauntlet, you're already battle ready. And that's why I say you can and you can't put a lot on it, because if you do go through that gauntlet and you go into the NBA Finals, and let's say, hypothetically speaking, that King James and company breeze through their playoff round, well, then you begin to look at who has more mileage on the legs.
I think it's interesting to see if Cleveland has somebody that
That can
like
make
I
it.
said, Indiana I think can make it last, especially in Indiana. I think they play really well in Indiana. Toronto plays well at home as well, so they might be able to push it.
Right.
And like you said, nobody really wants to play the Celtics when they're playing defensively.
Right.
When they take Isaiah Thomas and use him as a scorer, and then have 2 wing defenders, Avery Bradley and Marcus Smart, which can lock down almost any point guard. or
Exactly.
shooting guard
Right.
in the league. So I think it's interesting. I don't think I could consider them in trouble, but if they're not, they need to stay healthy and keep playing together. Because if
Right.
they take too much time off, separate from each other,
It won't exactly be the best thing for them.
it'd be like the first year they were the Heat when they suffered the upset to Dallas.
Right. Which is great.
Things in sports that make you say, really though? Who would you like to go first today?
I'll go first and I'll make this quick because it seems like I just can't. My really though goes to Cowboys Nation again.
Oh.
Yes. And I have a right to really though him as a Cowboys fan because I'm not picking on Cowboys Nation for those of you who think I am, but I'm not. Bleacher Report released a story that there was this one Cowboys Nation fan that decided that he was going to create a petition or make a petition to bring Johnny Manziel to Dallas. And it got almost 2,000 signatures. So my problem with that is we talk about a quarterback who hasn't done anything. Coach didn't want to play him. Whether went with the guy who was supposed to be mentor him over the guy who's supposed to be the franchise guy. We talk about a guy who's single-handedly trying to sabotage his way out of Cleveland because he don't want to be there. Now, had this been any other quarterback, let's say Vince Young, Tim Tebow, who was doing these type of things right there, oh man, he'd be blackballed out the league. Yet somehow, some way, everybody in Cowboys Nation, or those 2,000 fans in Cowboys Nation, feel like, hey, let's bring him to Dallas. Really, on America's team, where we followed Tony Romo to Cabo with then girlfriend Jessica Simpson and Jason Witten's girlfriend, wife at the time, who said, well, maybe he shouldn't have been in Cabo. So we're gonna go and get this guy right here. Cowboys Nation, really, I'm done. I got to be lumped in with people, with those 2,000 fans. That's why I'm really doing, because I got to be lumped in as a Cowboys fan. I got to be lumped in with those 2,000 knuckleheads who say, let's bring Johnny Manziel here. I think he could do a good job. No.
Those 2,000 people probably don't even know anything about football, though.
Which is why they should, but we still have to be lumped in with them.
I don't know about this week.
I have to be lumped in with them. I apologize. I'm sorry. I have to be
I
lumped
don't
in
think
with
you
them.
should feel like you have to be lumped in with them either.
Because they're not, yes,
different than them.
They're Cowboys fans. They're self-proclaimed Cowboys fans.
So-
Create. The floor is yours, man.
What was mine?
Yes.
I gotta keep going on that, though.
I do. I almost want to, but like, man, if I keep going, man, it'd be. I'm refraining from
Parental
saying some of
guidance.
the words. There it is, right there. Keep your hand on the beat button. If I keep going, I'm fighting it right now.
Okay. I'll get to mine, really, though. Mine, really, though, goes to Andre Drummond. And big fan of Andre Drummond. Averages 17 points, 15 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks a game. So, shout out to him for beasting this year.
He's balling.
He is. But, last night, at Houston, he went to the free throw line 36 times, and he only made 13 of them.
What?
Yeah, it's 13.
So he missed like 23 shots?
Yeah, he missed 23 free throws.
Goodness gracious. He's a pro.
Yeah, he's pro. 36% from the free throw line that night. They went to the hack.
So they went to hack him. Okay, it's saying here that one guy, he fouled out in 9 seconds, getting him to the free throw line.
You gotta make.
He missed 23, getting paid millions.
35% on the season.
He should take a lesson from Kobe Bryant when he said they lost their first playoff series to Utah. He just went in the gym and all he did was shoot. He should find a time to just go into somebody's gym and lock himself in there for a full 24 hours on his off day and just shoot. Just find a rhythm. Goodness gracious, 23 misses? I'd have hacked him all day.
They did. You know what's funny?
What's up?
Houston still lost.
Ah,
With
man.
23 missed free throws from one player, Detroit still scored 123 points against Houston.
They whole team shouldn't be playoff eligible.
I think they're in the playoffs right now.
Let's just put SMU in the playoffs. And
Since I can't
put
go
the-
to
let's just
March
put,
Madness,
exactly. Oh man,
they would get dominated by Golden State.
true story. But at least they have an excuse. Like, well, technically, we still,
Andre Drummond, really though,
23.
you got to work on that, bro. I like what Jalen Rose said too. By the way,
Uh-huh.
that they're not gonna change the rules for NBA players that can't shoot free throws.
Rightfully so.
I hate people that want to change the NBA rules.
It's like you said before. You pay millions of dollars to make free throws. No one's contesting your shot. You pay millions of dollars to make them, and you miss 23 of them.
For people that push for that rule to be changed, you're changing the rule because 4 players can't do it.
Wow.
That's sad.
That deserves a really though.
Coming up tomorrow, another really though segment, and
Yes.
we will be picking the championship games for the NFC and AFC. Patriots, Broncos, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning, Cardinals, Panthers, Cam Newton, Carson Palmer. Probably the best quarterback lineup we've had in the championship round in a while.
Yes.
I mean, the worst one's Peyton Manning.
Oh man.
All that's coming up tomorrow right here on the Sports Machine.